you and I had a date to talk on your stoop. And I said, after all this time, I don't know your last name, Pauline. And you said Bonaventura. And I said, you're kidding. Because I've been writing this whole book about the Bonaventura family. And you said, you want to see my gas bill?
Yes, I said that. Yes, I
Yeah,
remember
that's
that.
right.
This was basically Sicilian neighborhood. You did that with every nationality. You brought your own in, you know. And then what we did was we squeezed the Irish out. You're not Irish by name Francis here. You're not Connie Francis's relative, are you?
No,
Okay.
no.
The Irish were all over here. We squeezed them out. We made them an offer they can't refuse. So they moved out. They moved out. The Sicilians moved in. And then eventually, really late on, the other people came in. The non-Sicilian people came
Right.
in. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like us.
That fits the book too.
Yeah.
Because there's an Irish-Italian conflict.
My mother's aunts did embroidery. They lived across the street, and they would sit by the window, and back to back, chair to chair, and they would sit there, and the people across the street would sing, and they would sing back, and they would do their embroidery, and they actually did the embroidery for Princess Grace's wedding.
No kidding.
Yeah, so they did all her trousseau. We used to call it trousseau then. Now we
Yeah.
just call it chutzpah. Now we just call it stuff. So they sat behind the windows, my two aunts, with the windows open, singing across the street to the other people who lived here.
How long has your family been on this block? Like altogether, your whole
Okay,
Bonaventura family.
my father the house is 125 years old. It doesn't look it, but it is.
This one, your house.
This house, yeah, it
Yeah.
was built in 1900, so it's 125 years old. My mother's family, who were mafioso, lived across the street over there, number 18, and they lived here for about 30 years before we came here. So we're old. They're not Bonaventuras, they're just newcomers.
Oh,
They're not my father's family. My father came here from Italy. He jumped ship from Canada when he was 17 and came down to here. Met my mother, they did some stuff, and then they got married. And then they did stuff.
I'm aware.
4 times. 4 times.
That's a lot of detail you got from your family.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I have a sister, 2 sisters and a brother to prove it at least 4 times. And here comes Milky Way.
Remember we had feasts.
We used to have the feast, St. Rosalie, around the corner. And this
St. Rosalie?
Yeah. On the corner, Saint Angel Gabriel. Hi, this is Milky Way. Milky Way is stopping for a treat.
Pauline always has dog biscuits for neighbor dogs. Yes, and she used to tie the biscuits around the bottom of the gate.
Actually, we had them. Yeah, we used to have. Some lady gave me a whole box of these little ones. I hung them on the gate.
Yeah.
So as the dogs walked by, they could just take the little packages off.
Well, that's our dog Zuza always did that. It's
Susan,
okay.
Yeah, she lives over there. She's number 31 Cheever. So basically, that's what happened. All the people would come back. All the girls who had gotten married, the guys who had gotten married would all come back and see all the people they grew up with.
Yeah.
And they would bring their kids, and the grandkids would come, and it was a lot of people. But now, since we have the school there, these people aren't as chummy as the old people from Cheever Place are.
Yeah.
Where did your family come from in the old country?
My father's family came from Sicily, a city called Catania, a little town called Riposto, the provincia of Catania. It was the only beach in Catania. My mother's family, the mafioso family, I didn't say that out loud, did I? Okay.
It's going to be on this. Do we need to
We could beat that. No, it's okay. They came from Palermo.
Oh, Palermo.
My mother's family came from Palermo.
Okay.
So my father's came from Catania, my mother from Palermo. Again, as I said, They did the dance.
Yeah.
They did the dance. Yeah.
Yes.
4 times. Four
4
times.
times.
4 times they danced. With music. Yeah. With music. They danced with music. And a lot. There's only 3 original families on the block now.
Really?
Number 48, Cheever. That's Millie.
Oh, Millie.
Millie Brenda Marty. She's number 48, Cheever. And then across the street is Girolama Buschetti. So her real name, they call her Jerry, but it's Girolama, like my grandmother.
Huh.
My grandmother's name was Girolama. So as I go up the street, Jerry is sweeping out there, and she'll hear Girolama, and she'll know it's me. Because nobody else knows her name is Girolama. Her son does. Her kids do. But I do. Nobody else does. I don't think Jean knows her name is Girolama until I tell her that her name is Girolama. So, and we still talk Sicilian to each other.
Do you?
Yeah, we know Sicilian. We talk Sicilian, and because we know Sicilian. I will tell you a story about my mother and father. Great Sicilians with 4 kids. There's an Italian game called Brisk, Brisk. My mother and father were partners, and the 2 kids were partners. So we're playing Brisk, and my father says to my mother in Sicilian, Rosa, how come the kids are winning? He never realized that we learned Sicilian. He never realized that we were learning. As kids will learn, you know,
Yeah.
learn, go to bed and don't go to bed. And
Yeah.
if you say it in Sicilian, they know what it is. And my father never guessed that we knew Sicilian. And to this
So
day.
he gave away his hands to you speaking Sicilian.
Yeah, he was telling my mother, leash, give nothing. Or cariga, give trump. Not that Trump. The card game Trump. Sorry about that political slip. So they would play this game, and my father never understood how come we're winning. He never caught on that we were, well, he knew we were smart, but not as smart as that we could learn Sicilian. And to this day, I still speak Sicilian. I went to Rome on a trip one time, and my aunt came up from Sicily to meet. I was meeting my cousin Pino for the first time in Rome. He was a lawyer. My aunt comes up from my cousin takes me to a place called Tivoli Gardens.
Oh, yeah.
Tivoli Gardens with all the water fountains
Yeah.
and stuff. And we ordered dinner. And my cousin says, Pauline, what do you want? I said, Piglia la regina. So he says, Care? So I pick out the grape, which is Sicilian for take the grape. So the waiter says to my cousin, she's a real Sicilian. And he says, yes, da Brooklino. She's a Sicilian from Brooklyn. That's how come I spoke Sicilian. I have not been to Sicily, but Sicily has come to me in Rome, So.
And in Brooklyn.
And the Brooklino, I had the grape from the Brooklino. I learned from Sicilian and Brooklino. So that was my education.
Yeah.
And my brothers and sisters, we never spoke Sicilian to each other.
Oh.
Because, we didn't want my mother and father to understand.
Oh, it was your secret.
It was our secret that we knew how to speak Sicilian. My father was a Sicilian through and through. My neighbors were bothering my father. So my father gets a sign. He says, for sale by owner. And he invites all of his African-American co-workers for a barbecue. So all the neighbors see is these people coming to look at this house. They never bothered my father again. It works. The story is, I was working, this guy would not say, good morning. He says, we get the union comes in. And he says to me, I don't have to say good morning to you anymore. So, ta-da! I said, okay. I tell this guy who was between the whites and the blacks, I said, I'm going to make a phone call to Brooklyn. And I'm going to point this guy out. So I call my mother. She calls my uncle across the street. She says, Tom, Pauline needs 2 men to show up at her job. So 2 men show up at my job, and the guy comes walking across the street. And the 2 men, beautifully dressed as the mafiosi did, dressed beautifully. They stand outside the guy and they see him walking by. They don't do anything. They don't even make him an offer he can refuse. They just stand there. So the next day he comes by and says, good morning, Miss Pauline, how are you?
You'll do a little bit of the
I
reading.
feel a little bit like this.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
feels like this.
Well, you have to actually read it though. Handling it won't give you the
Oh.
story.
I won't get the feel of it.
I think you're going to have to read about the Bonaventuras in the book.
I will read about them. Tony takes a walk.
She was
I'm
from Palermo.
Catania. I'm from Catania and Palermo. We don't talk to those people.